Good evening. I'd like to call the January 29th Construction Rail Planning Committee meeting to order. If everybody would please stand for the pledge. Ms. Molnar.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry for that delay. Roll call.
Joe Core.
Here.
Randy Novak.
Here.
David Decker.
Here.
Mark Yagelski. Michael Mullenauer.
Present.
Russ Klaczynski.
Here.
Thomas Dermody. Jim Thompson. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda that you see in front of you.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Item number 5, public comment. Anybody from the public would like to speak? You're not public. Yeah. Anybody else from the public like to speak? Going once, going twice. Communications, Mary Jane. Do we have any communications?
We do not. We do not.
How about minutes from our last meeting? Everybody have a chance to...
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Old business? Any old business? We don't have any listed here, but... All right. New business. We're going to go to the IEDC grant agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you, you have the IEDC grant agreement for the purposes of expanding rail and connectivity at the Kingsbury Industrial Park. The amount of the grant is up to $1 million. The term of the grant started July 1, 2019, which happens to be the state of Indiana's fiscal year. So when they set aside funds, they usually start on July 1st. So that's why 2019. The grant extends through December 31st, 2030, allowing us ample time to work with and to continue to develop connectivity at the Kingsbury Industrial Park. Purposes of the funds are to be used for infrastructure up to and including rail, land, and other development cost with regard to the project.
Great.
In exchange for the project, and I would be remiss if I didn't go back a little bit and talk about how we got here, and it all had to do with the original investment by the county of the $6 million. It had to do with investment by private activity people like JBC Rail of 3.4. It had to do with $6 million worth of investment by NIPSCO in the improvements to the power corridor in that area. And with that being said, the county or the IEDC would be in for $1 million. We do have some reporting requirements with regard to this grant. We have goals that have been established that have to do with the amount of development required and suggested and the amounts of investment. Just for the board's knowledge, the information we provided to the IEDC was information that was gleaned from the report done by, I can't remember the name of the firm, sorry, relative to the bypass. And they talked about doing they did an extensive amount of investigation of development potential at the Kingsbury Industrial Park, spoke specifically about rail connectivity. And while I thought that their numbers were really nice, I also thought that they were very optimistic. So I took about 1/10 of them and included that into this grant agreement. I don't think it's out of line to think that we could get to $1 million of development at the Kingsbury Industrial Park with 2 Class 1 rail carriers. I don't think it's out of line to think we could get $200 million of investment in the Kingsbury Industrial Park over that term. I don't think it's out of line at all. And so that's the good news.
Great.
The bad news is now we got to get 200 $1 million invested in the Kingsbury. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good news. So thanks for your patience on working through this.
Thank you for all
if you have any questions about it, feel free to contact me directly. As far as process is concerned, we would ask at the, this is to inform you, because you will be seeing any type of additional proposed improvements to the rail will come to this committee first to make sure that you have eyes on it and you're in agreement with it. And then because you're part of that process. The Redevelopment Commission, I'm hoping will approve this grant agreement at the next meeting. And
so what's the next step in actually getting this, let's say a switch or spending the money or getting it? You just
finalize design and cost, identify the user, and agreement between the user and the county. Basically perfecting those things that were put into the ILPK development agreement.
Is this $1 million a reimbursable grant?
This is reimbursable grant.
So we, yeah. I just want to make sure.
Right, like most state funds, and I know I kind of checked through that. They didn't cut us a check from Mel, as you know.
You're not going to all of a sudden pull out a big fat check.
And here's the big the novelty check. We'll save that for a press conference.
So we got to make sure we have a project in place in order to go after.
Well, as we've talked a lot. As we've talked a lot, I mean, it's been, we're chicken and egg in this thing forever. Hey, if you get money, I'll do this. Right. If you don't, and right. Now we got the money, so it's over and done with. So all of that, all those previous discussions with regard to connection and so on, I expect them to move forward in a very quick fashion. We're not gonna start spending money unless we know that we're gonna get a return. That's end of story. So we've been there and done that.
Okay.
And we're gonna make sure that we've working directly with the existing companies within the park and any new businesses that want to entertain coming in. And that's really how it shapes out in the grant agreement.
Well, that's good news. So tonight we don't need to do anything. Do we need
you guys are just, I gave this for information. I guess I would need a recommendation of this group to approve this grant agreement to the Redevelopment Commission.
I would recommend that we forward this to the Redevelopment Commission with a positive spin.
We got a second also.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Good job.
Next item yours too?
Next item on the agenda is a contract for use of rail for Aldon. I passed out to each one of your members. There's a memo from Aldon that says what they want to do. They actually sent it over to Thompson and ended up getting forwarded to me. I took that, sent it over to legal, had them review it. I also took the time to review with legal the use agreement that's attached for your recommendation to the Redevelopment Commission for their use. Essentially, for $5,000, Aldon will come out and test their stop-and-go supplement switch targets. They need to identify where in the park they're going to do it. Would be on one of our rail pieces. Per the use agreement, they can't disrupt anybody or any business activity going on in the park, so they're going to have to notify everybody when they're there. I don't expect that to be a problem. I've also put in the use agreement that they got to contact our highway guy.
How long a period of time are they?
It's 1 day.
I was going to say it was a very short.
Yeah. 1 day.
Wow. Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the Adlon contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
One other item kind of related to that, but Mike Dennis from JBC Rail provided me some information on some improvements they had made out there. The members have that, and just know that we'll obviously put this in the file. But as you've noticed, we've kind of as we're getting closer to making those direct connections to CN and CSX, we're trying to develop our process more rigorously. So when there's improvements being made and that have impact to not only our rail but individually in the park, they've been kind enough to do that. So I know that the folks from JBC are here and Mr. Davies back there. And if you have any questions about them or for them,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then last item for just an information point is that we did receive the 2 appraisals with regard to the right-of-way for the CN connection. Those appraisals will be forwarded to legal for their review and to make sure that we have consistent appraisals. I wouldn't imagine why we wouldn't. I mean, these are certified appraisers in the state of Indiana, and to have them identify the dollar amount and the legal description for the area, to put forward an offer to purchase property based on the Indiana legal process.
So how does that connect between the commissioners, the council, and the redevelopment commission?
Well, the redevelopment commission would then be the responsible, I guess, entity to purchase. Like you guys, the redevelopment commission owns the rest of the tract and underlying land or easement, whatever the case is. And so the redevelopment commission would actually make the offer. Our lawyers would review it, make sure we're doing it the right way. And not that we wouldn't, but that's why we hired them. Mm-hmm. And then the redevelopment commission. So I assume at the next redevelopment commission meeting, after the lawyers have done their review and due diligence, an offer would be tendered to the landowner relative to the right-of-way.
Good. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Is there any other business?
Good job.
Joe Jansen.
I do have nothing.
Okay. All right. No other business? Hearing
Motion
none.
to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. Stay tuned for the regular redevelopment commission.